Hello world, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to our software development training, lesson 2, HTML, CSS and JS. My name is Jojo Encho from Accra, Ghana, Africa. In our last lesson, we gave a brief introduction to software development in general. If you will remember, we said software is a set of instructions that tells the computer system what to do. We also said that programming language is the language that software developers use to create software applications. We also mentioned that the environment or the piece of software that software developers use to create, that is to type, edit, debug, test, and deploy a piece of software is referred to as IDE, which stands for Integrated Development Environment. We went ahead by installing Visual Studio Code on our machine. And then we created a folder for our lessons. All right, with that said, let's proceed to today's lesson. What you should expect today. In today's lesson, we will look at what is a web document. We will also look at what is HTML. And then we move on to CSS. Then we will look at JavaScript. Then we do a brief practical by creating an HTML document. As usual, we will have some time for questions and suggestions. Okay, so if you are ready, let's move on to item 1. What is a web document? I believe most of us have heard the word website before. Even most of us have interacted with a web application or a website before. Let's consider YouTube as a web app. It has pages, a place where you watch your videos, a place where you manage your account. Let's consider another website or web application like Twitter. You have a place to manage your profile. You have a place to watch the tweets for the day. You can open a tweet to see details and comments under that tweet. With all these in mind, let's then consider a website or a web app as a digital book or a magazine. It has pages containing text, images, videos, audio, etc., etc. So in actual sense, a website is more like a digital textbook. Therefore, a website is just a book online that talks about something, a business, someone, or that gives users the opportunity to express themselves. Now let's concentrate our lesson on websites as developers will do. As developers, let's refer to a page on the website or web app as a web document. That is to say, a web document is a file of code that make up a web page, in the sense that, if you could remember, in our previous lesson, we said a software is a series of instructions. Most often, programmers refer to these instructions as codes. To qualify it more, we often say source code. That is to mean that it is the source that contains the codes for the software. So in brief, we can say that a page on the website or a web app contains codes that generate that page. And the file that is created and filled with this code is what we are referring to as a web document. All right, with that understanding, let's move on. So we are talking about a website or a web app. What then is HTML? In our introductory lesson, we said a software is created by programmers using a programming language. HTML is the language for creating web pages. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It is a formatting system that is used to structure content we receive over the internet in a web browser. It uses tags to define the content in a browser. So in brief, HTML is a formatting language that is used to structure, design, decorate, beautify, and present content over the internet in a web browser. Don't worry if you don't get it now. With more examples, you may understand very soon. So let's proceed. With that for HTML, let's look at something we call CSS. Now, HTML, by its way of work, it defines the structure of the web page. That is to say, it designates content on the web page. However, these contents appear to be raw outputs in the web browser. Therefore, to add some sort of decorations and styling to this content, we use another special language called cascading style sheet. The main purpose of this sheet is to style the web page. It does so by arranging the content of the web page, controlling the spaces around and within, the shape, the color, images, and what have you. In brief, CSS or cascading style sheet is just a way of styling and beautifying the HTML content on a web page. We will know more about this sheet as we proceed. Now, knowing that HTML presents the content and structure of the web page, and then CSS adds some sort of styling and beautification, then comes in another programming language that adds some sort of automation in the form of flexibility effect, and logical controls to the HTML to make it a beautiful web page. This language is what we call JavaScript, and for short, JS. This is the first programming language of the web. That is mean to say HTML and CSS aren't programming language per se, they are just structures for defining the content and placement of web page. However, JavaScript is a full programming language which controls the content of a web page. It is a programming language in the sense that it can perform logic and arithmetic operations as well as content manipulation. So to sum up HTML, CSS, and JS, I would say that HTML is a formatting structure that defines the content of a web page. And then CSS is a styling sheet that arranges and beautifies these content on the web page. And then JavaScript or JS is the programming language that controls the element, the data that presents on this page. So in comparing a web page with the human body, I would say that HTML defines the flesh, the bones, and the physical content of the body, whereas CSS controls the look and feel of the body. And then JavaScript is responsible for the automation such as moving and controlling the senses of the body. Don't worry if you are not getting what HTML, CSS, and JavaScript are at this point. We will do more examples for you to understand as we move along. Okay, so let's take on HTML and understand what we mean by it presents the structure and content of a web page. Okay, so going back to the folder we created in our previous lesson, and then using the IDE we installed, we are going to create a simple HTML page and type in the message, "Hello World." So you want to be a programmer? It's time for action. Okay, so now we're going to locate and open the working folder we created in our previous lesson. If you don't have it, I will urge you to go back and watch lesson 1 and understand what we are going to do now. All right, so with the folder opened, right-click anywhere in that folder and then look for Open with Code. Open with Code. And then click on that. Okay, it will open up the IDE we downloaded and installed in our previous lesson. If you don't have the IDE, I will urge you again to go back and watch our previous lesson. That is Introduction to Software Development, Lesson 1. In that lesson, I gave a demonstration on how to create this folder and install this IDE. If you are using the latest, it will ask you about certain trust issues. Just go ahead and say, "I trust the authors." Okay, so let's open it wide. All right, so when you fire up your IDE for the first time, you may encounter the welcome page, Visual Studio Code, editing evolved. Now we have a start section where you can create a new file, open a folder, or run command. If you have used it earlier on, you have recent below here. Now at the right hand side, you may have some walkthroughs to learn about this IDE. Don't worry if your items under the walkthroughs are different from mine. It is as a result of certain plugins I have installed. Don't worry about that too. I will teach you how to install plugins. Okay, so we are going to close the welcome page so we can have an editing area. Up here where the welcome is, there's a close icon here. Yeah, this. Click it and you close it. All right, so after closing, automatically it's trying to create an untitled document for me. Don't worry, leave it there. Now let's come to the left side. There is a bar here with icons on it. Again, don't worry if you don't have the same number of icons as I do. It is also as a result of plugin I have installed. However, you are sure of getting the first icon, Explorer, and the second one, Search. As for these two, you are sure of getting. Now the Explorer helps us to load our working directory and the files within. Now as you can see, my Explorer is the active tab now. This is the title, and this is the name of the working directory or the folder I opened earlier on. Now to the right hand side, you see some icons here. The first one is for creating a file. The second one is for creating a folder. The third is for reloading or refreshing the Explorer. And then the last one is for collapsing the folders in this Explorer. At the moment, there are no folders, so we are not going to touch this for now. Now, we move straight into action. We are going to create a new file for our HTML document. So we select the first one, new file, you click on it, and it gives you an empty space to type. We're going to type in index. That is your index finger, yeah. Index.html. Press enter on the keyboard and you get that open. Okay, so when that is open, we can go ahead and close the untitled one it gave us. We don't need that. Oh, it closed my index as well. Okay, so you can click on it to open the index back. Okay, so what we have now is the first page we are going to create our HTML document in. And I named it index.html. Let me explain that. By default, when your browser visits a web page or a website, it looks for a starting page to display. This page we normally call the landing page or the home page. In HTML programming, the home page is always named index.html. So when the browser visits any HTML website, it looks for index.html. That is the standard. So there is no confusion as to what page to display first when you visit a website. Any website written in HTML will have an indexed page as the landing page. Without that, there will be some trouble. Okay, so now let's do some work here. Programming start now. Okay, so you click at where the first line is blinking. Then we are going to do some work here. I said HTML defines the structure and content of a web page. Let's see what we mean. So we are going to code, right? Let's code. Left angle, exclamation, doc type, space HTML, right angle. Ha ha ha, the game has begun. Don't worry, this is what we'll be doing the rest of our life. Okay, so what is happening here? Now, HTML, as I said, is a way of formatting and structuring the content of a web page. The browser will need to know what content you want to structure. So we are telling the browser that we want to structure a document of type HTML. Is that okay? We want to tell the browser that, hey, browser, the content on this page is of the type HTML. So structure it very well for us, okay? All right. So in every HTML document, the first line of code is to define the document type as HTML. Okay, let's move on. Now we have told the browser that it should expect HTML in this document. So we move straight ahead and start with HTML parent. Hey, the coding is on. All right, every HTML document is defined by the HTML tag. Tag, T-A-G, tag, yeah, tag. No, we are not tagging anyone. This is a keyword that we use to describe the code we write in HTML. It is called a tag. In our next lesson, we will learn more about that, but we need to know the name now, so don't worry. This is a tag. Everything you type in HTML is called tag. Okay, so after defining the HTML tag, let's move ahead to describe the content. You remember I likened the HTML document to a human body, right? Okay, then let's draw the head. Head? I'm not kidding. Let's draw the head. Okay. After that, let's draw the body. Are you serious? Yeah, I mean it. Draw the body. So you mean HTML is really a human being? Oh, no, it's just likened to it. So you have a head, you have a body. Okay, so let's give this HTML some name. You know, my name is Jojo Encho. So let's give this HTML a name. Where do you think we will put the name? No, not in the body, in the head. Okay, so to name an HTML, we have something called title. Oh yeah, that is where the name will appear, the title. Oh yes, because this is what will appear in the title bar of the browser. Yeah. Nothing is strange here. It's just pure systematic and logical understanding. Okay, so my name is Jojo and Joe. This is the title for this page. All right, now let's come into the body and type in something. We're going to type in H1 and say, hello world, exclamation. Yes. What is H1? Oh, H1 is one of the defined tags in HTML document. So as you can see, we have HTML as a defined tag, head as a defined tag, title as a defined tag, body as a defined tag. H1 is also one of the defined tags in HTML. Don't be confused, just type as you can see. Now we're going to see the next magic. We move to our folder browser, and then you look in and you see that what we created has actually taken the icon of the default browser. So if your default browser is Microsoft Edge, just like mine, you'll see the icon of Microsoft Edge. If it is Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox or any other browser, you'll see that icon. It means that your PC or your computer even now understand that this is a web page. How did it understand? Because we declared the document as .html extension. Okay, so you want to see what we got now? All right, go ahead, double click it, let it open in your browser. Bam, bam, boom. Hey, don't worry me. Okay, so we have hello world in our browser. And then we have my name is Jojo Encho in the title of the browser. Hey, I am now a programmer. Hello world. All right, so that is the magic of HTML. As you can see, the head and its title is at the top of the browser. And then what we type in the body is in the content area of the browser. Hey, but it looks so raw. This is not how a website looks like. Yeah, you remember CSS and JavaScript? They will come in very soon and you will love what you will see. Okay, so let's move back to the code and then understand something small and we conclude for today. All right, so what did I do? I opened the folder using the IDE Visual Studio Code, and then I moved to the left panel. There's a tab called Explorer. I think it's the first on the list. You open it, you see. Okay, so you can click to open, click to close. All right, now in that tab, the folder we open is there. At the right side, you have new file, new folder, and some other items. Now, if you don't hover on it, you will not see it. So you need to hover on that area in this Explorer pane. You hover on it, and then these icons will come. You move your mouse away, they vanish. You bring them back, they come back. Okay, so then I click on new file and named it index.html. That is going to be the landing page for our website. Now, inside the editing area, we told the browser that, hey, Mr. Browser, this document is of the type HTML. Hence, we say doc type HTML. But sir, what is the exclamation, the greater than, and the less than? Oh, my boss. Oh, my dear. Welcome to the world of HTML. Every HTML tag begins with a left angle. We don't say greater than or less than. We say left angle. And the other one is right angle. So every tag begins with a left angle and ends with a right angle. Don't be confused. In our next lesson, we will know what a tag is. And why are they in pairs? We will know that too. So don't miss out on our next lesson. Okay, so this is a simple web document or an HTML file. My name is Jojo Encho. Hello world. Okay, so that is it for today's practicals. I hope you did enjoy it. All right. So we just created a simple HTML document with HTML tags in there. We also open it in our browser to see how a browser renders an HTML document into a web page. Hope you enjoyed the lesson because I did. It was fun and interesting. All right, so at this time or at this moment, I will receive some of your questions, suggestions, contributions, and what have you. And as I said, my name is Jojo Encho. You can join us on our Telegram group at learn_software_dev. You can also reach out to me privately on the same Telegram at Jojo Encho. Hope the whole lesson was fun, especially the coding practical. If you did enjoy it, then join us next time as we look at HTML tag, HTML element, and how they make the HTML page so beautiful on the web. I know you will enjoy it too. So don't miss it. Join us in our next lesson. Bye-bye.